What is good? What is up? It's Jordan, Texans Thoughts, and I'm back with another video. Today, I'm going to be breaking down Kevin Pierre-Louis and Joe Thomas. These two new Texans linebackers are some underrated pickups in my opinion, and they resemble a shift in defensive identity at the linebacker position. We're used to seeing bigger, stronger linebackers that were horrific in pass coverage. Well, with Lovie Smith's Tampa 2, your linebackers need to be quicker, faster, and adept in coverage. Enter KPL and Thomas. They'll kick off a series I'm calling Competition Casserole because I'm going to be breaking down for y'all the main, competition battles at certain positions. KPL and Thomas at linebacker, Jaleel Johnson and DeMarcus Walker at defensive tackle, Jordan Jenkins and Derek Rivers at defensive end. I'm going to help show what all these new free agents' strengths and weaknesses are, plus how they fit in our scheme. If you like the series, give it a thumbs up. I'll do more positions. Nick Casserole is preaching competition, so let's see who the best man for the job really is. Now, let's break down the film of Kevin Pierre-Louis and Joe Thomas because the film don't lie. Let's start with what KPL brings to the table, and while he's a bit undersized for your stereotypical linebacker, his athleticism is off the charts. He's got the speed, running a 4.51 40-yard dash. He's got the explosiveness, jumping 39 inches. He's got the agility, running a 6.92 3-cone. Even better though, those testing numbers show up on the field. I love his sideline to sideline speed that allows him to track down plays most linebackers just can't. His athleticism aids in his versatility. He can play in space as a weak side will linebacker, tracking down runs from the backside, but most impressively to me is how he plays the star position. In Lovie Smith's Tampa 2, one of the biggest differences between a typical cover 2 is the star position. It's a hybrid position between a Sam linebacker and a nickel cornerback. It was, revolutionary at the time because instead of taking a linebacker off the field to improve your pass coverage, which is often done on third down with a nickel cornerback, you could keep that same star defender on the field at all times. This is beneficial for defenses because one way offenses would counter the nickel cornerback would be to run the ball their direction, run it down their throats and be physical because most cornerbacks, they're a little allergic to tackling. But if you have a linebacker who can defend the pass and the run, you're golden. So alignment wise, your star defender would line up on the strong side of the offensive formation just like a Sam linebacker would, but they have the athleticism to play in space. Here, KPL covers a slot wide receiver for long enough to get the coverage sack. This hybrid role is extremely rare to find nowadays, but KPL's versatility is a big reason for Washington's success as a defense. He's not in the star role on this play. Washington actually brings in a nickel cornerback to deal with Arizona's patented 5-wide offense with 2 slot wide receivers, but KPL is able to stick with DeAndre Hopkins on a slant for just long enough. Then he wisely abandons the routes and looks to contain Murray because he knows a crossbody throw here is essentially impossible. I'm confident in saying KPL is the best coverage linebacker we've had since the DeMeco Ryans era. He's particularly effective in zone coverage, where he can keep his eyes on the quarterback and read route concepts in front of him. Here in a hook zone, KPL gets good depth, while also leaning forward and being ready to drive from the check down, but he reads Wentz's eyes like a book, and nearly gets the interception. Whew, I can get used to that. The Texans struggled mightily in defending the middle of the field in the short to intermediate area, but that's KPL's strong suit. He'll make things tough for tight ends and has good short area bursts to break on the ball. Another area the Texans defense got killed in the past few years has been play action. Time and time again, our linebackers would get sucked into the run fake and not have the athleticism to get back into coverage. So the middle of the field would be a big weak point. While KPL will get sucked into the fake every now and then, he at least has the athleticism to recover, and the awareness to stick with the route. Here covering the speedy Deshaun Jackson for just long enough for the pass rush to get there. I love how he reads routes, turning his head around to find guys behind him, then chasing them down to discourage a throw. Coverage and pass rush work hand in hand. KPL will give his D-line more time to get after the quarterback, but at the end of the day, they still need to get there and bring pressure to make it all work together cohesively. The last major strength of KPL's is his play recognition and mental processing. Just like how he can quickly read routes and coverage, KPL has a quick trigger in seeing a play develop, then pouncing on it to make a play. He reads bootlegs, a major staple of offensive nowadays, pretty well. The Texans always seem to get lost when a tight end leaks out across the formation, but KPL sees this quickly and reacts accordingly. He's also got good awareness to see screens develop and get to the ball. I mean, the dude just flies around the field and is a pure joy to watch. You just gotta finish those tackles more often, my guy. That'll be a good transition to KPL's improvement areas, because no player is perfect after all. KPL had a career-high 56 tackles in 13 games, 11 of which he started in 2020, but there was a lot of meat left on the bones. Hence, his absurd missed tackle percentage of 17.6%. So basically 1 in every 6 tackles he was missing. And if you think Zach Cunningham missed a lot of tackles last year, he did. Well, his missed tackle percentage was 9.4%. Basically half of KPL's. So KPL, he's got to square up to his target better and improve his grip strength, because he gets shrugged off too easily. In addition, while his undersized stature aids his athleticism and helps him in coverage, it drastically hurts KPL's ability to shed blocks and make a strong impact in the run game. At just 6 foot and 232 pounds, he's light for sure, and offensive linemen can keep him entirely out of the play. If we had better defensive tackles who could hold double teams and keep KPL unblocked, I'd be more confident in this not being a big issue. But we're still looking for that big body DT. The last area to be hoping for improvement out of KPL is in man coverage, particularly on big plays. KPL surrendered 4 touchdowns in his first 8 games with Washington in 2020, and I just wish he was better versus running backs in space, because that's something we've definitely lacked for years. He can stick with running backs, in straight line, speed's not the problem, but when he needs to flip his hips and change direction, yikes. This angle route here has long been a killer for us, and unfortunately, I wouldn't expect KPL to have this, consistently locked down. KPL is generally pretty good versus tight ends, but when he needs to turn and run downfield, he seems to panic a bit and can get lost for these big plays. Now, this last one is in zone, it's not as much of his fault, it's more just an absurd throw and good contested catch, but I wish KPL could play the ball a bit better, especially when his back is turned to the quarterback. Overall, I'm a fan of the KPL signing. His athleticism, prowess in coverage, and play recognition is desperately needed, and understanding his improvement areas is pivotal to the expectations we should place on him and his ultimate ceiling and impact for the Houston Texans. I think he can play Lovey's beloved star position and definitely excel on passing downs. Now let's move on to Joe Thomas, the former Cowgirl, and out of all of our signings, I feel like he's getting little to no attention. So let's talk about him. Thomas has been sort of a super sub for Dallas. A lot of their media guys say he's, the best backup linebacker in the league, and watching the film, he played better than Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch. Versatility is the name of his game, and I know we hate that word, but in the linebacker corps, it's a good thing to have. Thomas lines up primarily at will, weak side linebacker, but he can play some Mike and he can even blitz a little too. On this weak side, he's got the speed to knife through open gaps and can secure the tackle. Looking at the Texans linebackers they currently have on the roster, to me, there's a clear deficiency. None of them are great at defeating blocks. Zach Cunningham, Christian Kirksey, Kevin Pierre-Louis, it's just not their strengths. And that physical aspect is something we'll miss from BMAC for sure. However, I think if there's anyone on this roster who is equipped to bring that physicality and defeat blocks, set the tone in the trenches, it's actually Thomas. Despite being 6'1" and weighing just 232 pounds, Thomas brings a level of intensity and competitive toughness that is required out of your linebackers. He can play on the strong side of the formation for Dallas, and he did his best to make plays. Here's an interesting play call by the Falcons. They asked both of their guards to instantly go to the second level and block linebackers instead of helping out, create a double team on this defensive tackle. Now Joe Thomas, he swims over his guard and clogs up the front side of the run, but Jalen Smith gets pushed way downfield, demonstrating the gap in effectiveness by those two. But here's one of my favorite plays from Thomas. Versus the Browns, who had one of the top rushing offenses and offensive lines in the entire NFL, Thomas proves he can hang with the big boys. On his own run towards Thomas, the left guard Joel Bitonio gets stood up. I love the technique here by Thomas to play as the stronger guy despite lacking 3 inches in height and 90 pounds in weight. Thomas plays with low pad level to get under Bitonio. He also shoots his hands into Bitonio's chest and then extends out his arms to shed the block and finishes the play with a tackle. This play reminds me so much of Benardrick McKinney. Thomas just takes on this pulling tight end, absorbs the blow, and helps make the tackle. He's the type of guy who is willing to do the dirty work in the trenches. His impact won't always look the best in the box score, but he does the little things like taking on these blocks so that his teammates don't have to. Instead, they can roam free, and they can be the ones to finish the tackle. In addition to his run defense, Thomas has some really good moments in coverage. Again, you'll see his versatility come into play, being able to align at multiple linebacker positions, which is perfect for when someone inevitably gets injured. Thomas even has experience as the middle linebacker in a Tampa 2 coverage call, defending deep down the middle of the field. In zone coverage, he has really good feel and instincts for route concepts, which allow him to almost always be in the right position and putting a body near a route. Here, the Cowgirls are in either a cover 4 or cover 6. Let me know what you think it is in the comments below, but Thomas has 2 routes to deal with here, and it's a curl and an in. Look at Thomas anticipate this route breaking inside, taking that subtle shuffle to set himself up to cover that route before the wide receiver even breaks. Now in a cover 3, he feels this out route by the tight end and breaks on the ball so quickly to get the PBU. With an athlete like Evan Engram having the leverage advantage on Thomas, it's very impressive that he was able to recover ground, and he should have had a pick 6 to be honest. Much like KPL, I like Thomas's ability to read and react to bootlegs, finding the tight end, leaking out into the flat, and taking away the first read for the quarterback. Most importantly, for the Texans scheme though, Thomas shows he has the foot speed to cover downfield up the seam. In the red zone, the Falcons want to go to tight end Hayden Hurst over the middle of the field. And in normal cover 2, the area in between these safeties is a clear hole for the defense. But in a Tampa 2, the middle linebacker is asked to cover deeper. And Thomas does exactly that, taking away Matt Ryan's ideal option and forcing him to go elsewhere. So we've looked at the good from Thomas. Now let's look at what areas of his game are holding him back a little, and why he's kind of been more considered always as a backup instead of a real-time starter. It's really just about consistency for Thomas in the pass and the run game. And I showed a bunch of good plays in coverage, but there's times where he's just a step slow and doesn't trust his instincts as much as he should. Thomas will read plays really well and has a feel for where the route or ball is going, but there's a split second of hesitation when he's making his break, and that burns him a lot. These false steps, man, you can't have it. It's just such a small margin for error already, and this kills you. As a linebacker, you've got to have the athleticism to be good in coverage, which Thomas has. You've also got to have the instincts, and Thomas got that too. But at the end of the day, you need to trust those instincts and act on them quickly. That's where Thomas's hesitation hurts him, and he ends up being so close to making a play, but rarely finishes it. Overall, Thomas is a high-level backup linebacker who I'd be confident in being, a spot starter from time to time, barring injury. He can play Will and Mike, stop the run, cover in space. He just needs to be more consistent. And I think we've got 2 linebackers who, they won't get national attention ever for their play, and they won't always fill the box scores like Benardrick McKinney and Tyrell Adams could rack up the tackle numbers. But these 2 guys, KPL and Joe Thomas, actually fit our scheme 100 times better, and because of that, I think they'll have a positive impact for our defense. With these moves, we got faster, we got quicker, and we got better in coverage. I like it. The series is not about pinning two guys against each other and seeing, who the best one is, but just more about what they really bring to the team if they do make it through training camp. I think both linebackers are going to make the team. KPL could start at star, but will likely take most of the will reps on third down from Zach Cunningham, so that he doesn't have to play in coverage. And Thomas will be a high-level backup for Kirksey at Mike or Zach at will if they do get injured. And I think he could play Mike next to KPL on those passing downs, and that's a cover linebacker duo that I'm confident in. Alright, that's going to do it for the video. If you enjoyed, please do hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and comment down below your thoughts on the two linebackers, man. Take care, everyone. Come back for more, and remember, the film don't lie.